Monogam-ish contains content intended for mature audiences. The views expressed here are for entertainment purposes only. Please enjoy the show.
Hi, Ishes!
And you are?
I'm Justina.
And I am Kenji.
And we're Monogam-ish.
Monogam-ish.
So today, we have Sherrie.
I know.
Sherrie Murray, LMT is your official title.
Yes, thank you.
That is so right. I know, and we just met you the other day, but we got such a connection.
We
Thank
did.
you.
And thank you
It's
so
fun.
much for coming on here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Right
Thank
on.
you. I'm excited.
I love it. So am I. I'm
So-
always excited.
I know you are. You radiate the excitement.
Thank
He's
you.
he's a bucket full of fun. So we always start the episode, and this is crazy because, like I told you before, we usually have more of conversation before we have somebody on the show, so we
Right.
kind of know more.
Feel them out.
Right.
Yeah.
But we had such great energy from you for that couple of minutes that we chatted, and I'm really excited about this.
I know. So
So-
please, Sherrie,
Yeah.
tell us, what is your sexual orientation? What do you go by?
What do you
What do I go by?
identify as?
What do you identify as? There you go.
Wow. I don't really like stick to labels much, but
Thank you.
I'm a she.
Right.
And I have, I do the best I can to have love for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you probably closest to like a pansexual?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. I love it. I love it.
And what's your relationship status right now?
I am am a unicorn.
I'm a unicorn. You're a unicorn.
Oh my God.
Those are my
Okay.
husband's favorite. Unicorns are his hands down favorites.
Because, Sherrie, I'm truly a lesbian. I'm just letting you know. Just
You
letting
love
you know.
pink.
I know, right?
And we made the joke earlier that, he says every man's favorite color should be pink.
Yes.
Hey.
For perverted reasons.
Hey.
True.
Hey.
But
hey.
I love what you said.
That we're all pink on the inside?
Yes.
Yes.
I love it.
That's my new one.
I
It's
know. It pulled in
I
my
know.
heartstring.
I got you, girl.
Okay.
So you've been in the lifestyle for quite some time, I've heard.
I have. Guesstimate probably about 12 to 15 years.
Okay. So
Give or
let's back
take-ish.
up. Parents, were they monogamous?
They were miserable and monogamous, yes.
Oh,
Really?
that sucks.
That sucks. We hear so many stories like this where it's like, my parents were together for 40 years,
Mhm.
but, for the last 35, I never saw them touch each other.
Right. No,
Or-
no signs of
You
affection.
know, and I'm
no
all,
signs
di-
of life.
did they even sleep in the same bed? Oh, no. They had different rooms and everything else. And I'm like, oh, my
Yeah.
God. I
No,
couldn't
things
do that.
got weird in my family when I was probably about 13. I had heard my parents talk about divorce, and so I came out crying, and then I went back to bed. They were like, we'll talk about this later. And then I never heard them talk about divorce again, but my mom started sleeping in the living room on the couch, and then she got a twin bed delivered from Sears, and then one day I came home, and she was sleeping in my room.
Oh.
So,
Really?
yeah, it was brutal.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, so
So it was almost like they didn't want to inflict any more pain on you, so they decided to
Stay together.
stay together.
but it was so painful. My mother snored like a buzzsaw, and so having her,
shit.
I'd have to
Oh, my
bang
God.
my head against hers.
Yeah, Turn over.
Oh my gosh.
Turn over.
Yeah, I was
The-
deprived of a lot of sleep after that time.
my
Oh, and
gosh.
privacy.
And privacy,
Yeah,
Yes.
especially at that age.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So are they
Right.
still married now?
No, they're both passed on. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
But did they stay?
My
So
heart.
did they stay married all the way through until?
my dad died in an accident. A car fell on him. He was an
Oh.
auto mechanic, and a lift failed the day after Father's Day. So yeah, I got a little
Oh
trauma
my
there. That's okay. I'm
gosh.
working through it all.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I mean,
How-
but they I came up in a very disconnected family. So it's like my parents were disconnected. They were disconnected from one another. They were disconnected from me. So I have built my life on connection. So that's very
Oh,
important
that's
to me.
awesome.
Yeah. So flip
Because-
the script. Flip the script.
Because everybody doesn't want to be like their parents.
Right.
Me either.
Unless their parents are fucking cool.
I
and then, I mean,
know,
my
I
kids
know,
want to be
I
like
know,
me.
I
but-
know. I hear you same fucking
Right?
way, but like,
Yeah.
yeah. My parents were like really loving, but they had like no discipline to their shit, and they didn't want to do shit for themselves. And I was like, damn it,
Things need to change.
I don't
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that. Or
Breaking the cycle.
or they didn't want to hang out with me, and I'm all, come on.
Right? I need you.
I need you. So yeah, hell yeah.
So were you always monogamous when you
Yes.
started dating?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know I'll be 49 tomorrow, and there's just so many things.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy early
Thank
birthday.
you.
I know, Miss Taurus. God, you look amazing.
Thank you.
God damn it.
So I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that the lifestyle existed, or I wasn't like aware. I didn't have an awareness of swinging or swingers or any of that stuff until much later in life, like, beginning of like end of my 30s, beginning of my 40s. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I was sheltered, but not sheltered.
Right.
It's like I didn't know if you were skiing and you fell down the hill and your shit went everywhere. It was called a yard sale. Like, I found out things late in life. I found out about the prostate late in life. I mean, not that I have one, but I really enjoy playing with them. But yeah, putting that out there.
The more we talk to you, it's just, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So, did you start exploring your sexuality early in life, or?
I did. My sexuality, like, for a lot of the early part of my life, because I did have sex early, I was always looking for love, right? Because in our culture, what do we, like fairy tales and all these things, like we equate sex and love. So if somebody wants to have, especially for women, somebody wants to have sex with me, well, then they must love me.
Right.
And so that like slap in the face, like over and over again, because I was fairly promiscuous, like, looking for love, didn't have that connection and that love from my parents. And so to the parents out there, I'm always like, man, be real with your kids. Please be real. Because that's how they connect to you, right? Is knowing that mom and dad fucked up too.
But
Absolutely.
I get what you're saying.
I know.
This isn't something necessarily to be ashamed of.
No.
But you told your kids, I made this mistake of getting married. I did this. You were so honest with them, so that trying to prevent them from making those same mistakes.
Well, and valuing myself, right? Like I allowed a lot of things in that were toxic or unhealthy for me because I didn't have the self-love. I didn't have the identity. I didn't have the strength that I needed as a human and a woman. I didn't have the voice. And that's been a big thing for me as I've gotten older, is really like encouraging women to find their voice, whether it's about what you want sexually or couples. Like I see so many people that are struggling with intimacy. I know you guys got some bomb ass intimacy because you guys are like a power couple. It's so beautiful and sweet and playful and hot.
Yes.
Like, because usually it's like, oh, hot and not, or one or the other. And it's like you guys are both beautiful and sexy and fun and playful, and you love to dress up. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I love you
We're
guys.
blessed.
You are very blessed.
Mark, though, is the father of your daughters,
He
correct?
is.
So,
He is.
how did he become the father of your
of my
daughters?
children.
And,
So
and not only that, but how did you become in this lifestyle from that?
we started kind of like, we had heard tell. I don't even remember how I even heard tell of what the lifestyle was. He had mentioned that he thought his ex-wife might be a swinger. And so I think that's probably how it started. One day on Google. And then, like, things start popping up. And one of the things that popped up was the Scarlet Ranch. And I started looking at it, and I was like, wow, that place looks pretty nice. Like, if I was going to go, and then you start seeing, of course, all the brochure pictures, all the beautiful people that are in the pictures for the events. And I'm like, well, hell, I want to party with them people. Yeah, they're beautiful people.
Right?
And so the curiosity started to build. And then I started seeing events, and it's like, dress up like I was a stripper for a very short time. And so that's where my love of costuming came when the girls were very little. We were talking about childcare and how expensive things are. And so Mark did an amateur night. Sorry about the mic. Mark did an amateur night. I did an amateur night. I ended up working as a dancer at a different bar that I did the amateur night at for a few months. That was born my love of costuming.
Okay.
And then the lifestyle, when I started seeing these events, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, I love to wear costumes, and these people are dancing like or dressing up like strippers. I'm like, I want to go to these things. This looks like hella fun. There's dancing and finger food and crock pots. No.
Right.
Oh my God.
So that's where the curiosity built. But I also saw like some seedy shit, like in Pueblo. You see, I saw stuff where there was like swinger events where there was like just looked like mattresses on the floor and like. Oh. But not like with cool things or tapestries or lights or anything around. Like that looks like some straight creepy shit. Like I don't want any involvement in any of that.
There's always some good and bad shit.
To everything.
To everything. you know. And so my wife says, you know, me and my wife say this. Oh yeah, look at this shit. But look at this shit as well.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
So you got to go in with an open mind and open eyes too.
That's right.
So when you were in Pagosa, you were traveling to all of these?
We started to come to Denver.
Okay.
And I told Mark, I was like, at this point, I'm only into going to the Scarlet Ranch. Like, we were terrified of the whole idea of a house party, even, or I was very skittish. Like,
why?
Social sexual pressure
Yeah.
is what I have titled it, because it's social sexual pressure.
And I feel like every woman that experiences the lifestyle in the beginning
can be
feels that
rapey.
way. Yeah.
Well, and it can be rapey. There's not it's not always good, and boundaries get pushed. And because of the love of the party, things that are being enjoyed that lower inhibitions, or you know what I mean. So, and I think there's good and bad, like you said.
Yes.
And it can be predatory at times, and I don't like that vibe. And I am an empath, so I'm really sensitive to it. So I'm always feeling and watching what's going on around me. I'm super perceptive to people's body language and how they approach me. Like, I felt you across the room before you ever got up to me.
Energy. That energy right there. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. My wife is an empath, and she feels everybody.
And
Everything.
women
All
in general, we feel
the
so
time.
much.
You know, and I'm just like, she goes, hey, I don't want to play with that couple right now. And I'm like, well, why not? She goes, they're not good.
Yeah.
I just don't feel them.
You sense
And,
it.
and
Yeah,
you
you
feel
sense
it. You feel it.
For
so,
sure.
So you were scared to go to house parties, but you were okay with traveling down to the ranch and
Yeah, there were no, I mean, so people in Pagosa, people are fucking their neighbors, but they don't think they're swingers.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's that kind of mentality. It's kind of, you know what I mean?
right.
We never knew much about what was going on there. We did get invited to some parties, but I was like, I didn't want to go get into that where I lived in a small town. I was like,
Right.
You've heard the saying, you don't shit where you eat.
That's right. Hey, usually
Denver's big.
Right.
Pagosa is small.
Right.
my wife and I really like to play when we're like traveling.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
For
when,
sure.
when we're here, it's like,
So that's how you guys
You
started
know.
too.
Yes. Well, but we were really exhibitionists for the majority of it. So I enjoyed having sex in front of other people, but I felt safe with my husband. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And because it can take me a long time, if ever, to orgasm in a new situation and in a new environment, like just random hookups were not going to be sexually fulfilling for me, because
Right.
I need comfort and connection to be able to access my sexual desire. So, like if I enter into a sexual situation where I'm not really comfortable, my vagina's not going to get wet. I get disembodied. So even though it may even want to have the experience, there's times that, so your nervous system, how a therapist explained it to me, who actually played with them as a couple, they were beautiful people. She was like, your nervous system goes in waves, right?
Mhm.
Like 2 waves. Like you're looking at like alternating current, like electricity. And when we become disembodied, our nervous system loses that rhythm, right? We're becoming disembodied. We're not fully present. And she was like, well, if you can step away from that situation and have space held, or, you can communicate that, then you have an opportunity to return back to that rhythm and flow. But if you're just constantly had the pressure put on you, that dissonance just keeps on expanding.
How can you do that? You know,
But
in
people
the
aren't-
situation, you're just like,
Right.
oh,
Because people
let
aren't
me
that
step
honest.
away, right? Let me step away right now while you're hard or you're turned on.
But we
whatever.
should all be conscious enough that we can speak our boundaries in that moment. Like and this is why there's so much, like, oh, well, she said she wanted it. But then, like, there is this true disembodiment. Yes, there are people that will tease someone maliciously, but so many of us, especially women, are going through periods of disembodiment. And I see a lot of people in the lifestyle doing things that I know, I can just see from their body language that what they're doing in that moment is not healthy for them. So although I love the element of the lifestyle, like, it's really important to me. Like, I want to feel like I'm friends with you if we're going to have sex. Like, if I see you again somewhere, I want to have that kinship with you, the sisterhood, the brotherhood, whatever it is. I mean, that doesn't mean that I want to have like a constant deep connection with someone, but especially as a massage therapist, I know how to connect with you. And when I see you again, I will connect with you, but because I connect from here.
Right.
You know what I mean? I see infiltration in the lifestyle, and I think that's what makes people most unnerved about experiencing true intimacy. Like, oh, well, we don't kiss we don't kiss the people that we have sex with, whatever boundaries that they've put in place that they feel have, created enough of a lack of intimacy that, well, we can fuck, but we're not going to have a real connection. Like for me, the connection part is really important in that, like being comfortable, that I can enjoy the journey with you, that I'm not trying to just get together and we have like a cheap hamburger. Like we get to have filet mignon, like we get to be fully present, and everyone gets like, if your boundaries, like, oh, like, you know what? I'm just like not feeling this right now.
Right.
That should fucking be okay. If your
Right.
dick is hard, then fucking stroke it. I don't like, I don't fucking owe your dick anything.
Right.
Like if I'm feeling truly disembodied, then I should be able to step back, and no one judges me or fucking guilts me and makes me go through an unhealthy experience so that they can have a fucking orgasm.
Right. So why did you and Mark get into the lifestyle?
It was, I think the stripper thing kind of kicked it off, like the love of the costuming and the play. And then I started making my own pasties, and that was hella fun. And it was about going up and being able to get that. We love to dance. And so getting out and dancing, and like so much is released when you're really present and in the moment and just enjoying moving your body and the music.
Right.
And you're not fucking worried about what he thinks or what you think. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm having a full body freak out, and it feels amazing. And like, I have let so many negative emotions go during dance, like releasing things that I don't need, but then calling in so much joy. So he and I really got a charge out of that. And because we love costuming so much, like at first he was like, you get all the attention when we go to these events. And I go, bitch, nobody said you couldn't fucking dress up. But I'm like, you got to like plan ahead. You know there's going to be a theme.
Right.
So think about it like fucking Halloween. And what do you want to do? Like, what fun shit can you wear? Armor, feathers, glitter, sequins. And but then he started getting into my glitter, and he didn't know how to control himself at first. Like boys in makeup, if they never played in makeup, he was just like, I'm like, no. Okay, we're going to teach you. If you're going to play in my glitter, we're going to teach you. Because he was like fucking ridiculous. I'm like, no, you're a hazard.
So was Mark straight?
Mark, growing up in a very Catholic family, he was a pretty boy. And he was one boy with 3 sisters. And he was not the youngest, but almost the youngest at the tail end.
Okay.
Grew up in a very feminine environment. But he also had like the left brain stuff of knowing how to fix shit, tear it apart, put it back together. And his dad didn't have that. I think his dad really resented that. But and homosexuality was very shamed because of the Catholicism, and
Right.
just because like, his dad had issues because him and his sister were adopted. His father was adopted with his sister, and then his sister became a lesbian. Oh my God. So like there was a lot tied up there, and Mark never really fully bonded like a father and son traditionally do. So there was a lot of dissonance there, and his dad was on the road a lot. He was a salesman. And so Mark grew up with a lot of feminine energy, but he was like a beautiful mixture of yin and yang. So like he had so many feminine qualities about him, but he was a man's man too, because like he could run it, fix it, like the everything. But I think he was really shamed about the bisexual part. So at the very end of our marriage, we had literally the last year of our marriage, in May of 15, we had our first threesome with a guy, and he didn't connect with that guy. He kind of left it up to me, because it's like, this is like new territory. Like we've been partying, and he used to say that we confused the swingers and pissed off the nudist, because we weren't fully in. Like we'd love to party and stuff, but then the actual like carrying it all out never really happened. I think he really wanted it to happen a lot more than I was ready for. And I think that definitely was a fault line for our relationship too. But emotionally, I was afraid that it would wreck our marriage. And so we had our first threesome in 15 in May. And he, like, it was a good, I wouldn't say it was a bad experience. it was fun for me, and I really did my best to stay connected with him too. But those two, because they hadn't connected energetically, was a mistake.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the guy was younger, and he was, and I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, it was fun to be with a younger man, but younger men really aren't my thing. It's just not my thing. But he was pretty, and and he didn't tell us that he was on Viagra, and like, my husband had never had any erectile dysfunction, but I was already mentally prepared for the fact that, yeah, that shit comes up. Like, women, we can fake that shit. Guys, it's like you're on the spot. So, and I didn't make a big deal out of it because it was kind of intermittent, and I mean, I wouldn't have made a big deal out of it either way. But I think that affected him. He found out after we had all played that this guy had Viagra. And so he's like, fuck, so he's kind of like having these epiphanies. So he had a bit of a hard time digesting it, I think. It was like an ego thing. But like, I really, like, emotionally and body language wise, really made a huge attempt to the point where I didn't really get to feel like I got to be present for the threesome because I was really worried about how he would feel. And I loved him, and I didn't want him to feel hurt from it because it wasn't he and I and another woman, it was he and I and another man. And like, him being the man, he processes that different, right, than it being me and another woman.
Right.
So there was not any bisexual activity in that threesome, and that was a one and done. And so we've had thousands of conversations about the lifestyle. And I said, Mark, I said, I really think that if we do this again, that it's going to be really important that you connect with the man. So if I find him attractive and I like his personality, and I'm like, yeah, I'd fuck him, that would be okay. Because I had the intimacy with Mark. So that was a big thing for me. But if I like the guy's personality and I found him physically attractive and I like, then I'm like, okay, then that could be a go. But again, we were still just going and being exhibitionists at parties. Well, we met a man online on Cassidy, and then we ended up at a Christmas party with him. And I was like, I'm letting Mark run the show this time. Like, I'm not even going there because I want to make sure, like, I love my marriage. I don't want to lose anything. I want to make sure that we stay connected. So I know that he found this man attractive. He was a bodybuilder, and he was hot, beautiful blue eyes, dark hair, really nice body, like, not super tall, but built like a brick shit house. So I was like, wow. Like, me being into anatomy, I was just like...
A brick shit house.
A brick shit house. Yeah, I'm from the South. But, yeah, it was amazing. So, so I just stepped back. And Mark, at one point, he was like, here, wait here. So I'm at this Christmas party. I'm dressed as a snow queen, and he's Jack Frost. Funny story. Like, Mark was into big things. And so he put together a PVC staff for his Jack Frost costume.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it barely fit in the fucking car. And somebody tried to steal it while we were at the party. We were at a Sweets Entertainment party.
Oh, no.
And he had the staff downstairs in the coat check, and he had come downstairs to go get a drink or do something, and somebody tried to walk out the door with his fucking staff. And then they stole our fun wine glasses that night too. We had some fun, like, I can't remember what they said, but they were fun plastic wine glasses, for the season.
Oh, dang.
And they were like light up and shit. And yeah, somebody heisted our glasses. But other than that, the only thing I've ever had stolen at a lifestyle party other than that was I was at a house party, my first and only with him, and somebody went into my bag and stole some latex-free condoms. And I was like, I hope you enjoyed them.
Right.
Yeah, this is my gift to you.
Right.
Yes.
This is my gift to you.
So you and Mark really didn't get in the lifestyle then. I mean,
We weren't getting down and
knew
dirty in the
about it,
lifestyle.
but you weren't participating or playing
We were
until like that last
Yes.
year.
Yes.
Okay.
So we ended up having a threesome with this guy. Like, so we went to the View House, and we enjoyed, nobody drank, which was cool. We drank when we got back to the room, but nobody drank, it was like having tea and whatever. And then we went to the liquor store, and then we went to the hotel room, and I was super excited. So I'm like, I got two fine ass guys, and they actually like each other. So it's like the energy is good, right? So when you have a circuit of energy, it's so amazing. But if anyone's uncomfortable because things haven't been talked about, like, it breaks the circuit, and
Right.
the energy is just not the same, right? And I want cohesive energy for all. Because if
Right.
anybody else is uncomfortable, then I'm fucking uncomfortable too.
Right.
'Cause
I'm the
super
same way.
Sensitive. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
It ended up being a phenomenal night. At one point, I said to Jason, I was like, I would just like to make love to my husband for a while. Are you cool with that? And he was like, oh yeah. So there was a big comfy seat, couch thingy in our hotel room. He got his peach whiskey. He went over and he sat on the couch and he just sat and watched, Mark and I play. And then he came back in. And so there were some bisexual brushes at this point. So like I'm going down on Jason and Mark's next to me. I'm kissing him. And then I like sweep the cock over and he didn't fight it. And neither did Jason. I was like, oh, experiment. Yes. So it wasn't really like discussed. I mean, like, there is that thing of consent, but I was just like testing the waters. And so I apologize for not asking for consent. But I was like, if I ask for consent, it might get weird. But I am very consensual based.
Yeah.
But
I did
you could
push.
tell that he
Yes,
was on the page.
All
The
the vibe.
energy.
The
All the
energy
vibe,
was
yes.
there.
Yes.
So nothing else major transpired that night in a bisexual manner. But when we were on our way home, we were just like, and he was like, I find him really attractive and da-da-da. So he really came out that he would like to have another experience. So fast forward, I'm up in Colorado Springs with my best friend, Alana, and we just been out country dancing. It's 2:00 in the morning and we're at Village Inn.
Oh, wow.
Getting some fucking breakfast, getting some skillet breakfast. And Mark was at home with the girls and my phone. And I look over and I was like, oh, I got a text from Mark. I flip it open and I'm all, and Alana, who normally wouldn't want to see something if she was sober, looks at me and she goes, what? And I was like, I want to see. I'm like, no, you don't. I said, you cannot unsee this if I show this to you. She's like, lit. And she's like, I don't care. I want to see it. And I was like, okay. And I pass it over to her and it's Mark and he's got my dildo in his ass. And he's like, I'm ready to try. He's like, opened all the doors. And I'm like,
Oh,
I'm like,
shit.
oh, hell yeah. So I am so excited for us to all have another gathering. Super hot, right? All of this play and fun of excitement of possibly getting together with this boy again is so exciting. And then I find out that he's cheating on me with our dental assistant in Pagosa.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Male or female?
Female. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
it.
So it
Yeah.
never happened again.
It never happened again.
So was that the end of you and Mark?
It
the
was.
affair?
It
was.
was. Yeah, because we were so passionately in love. And so he has those two boys I was telling you about, right?
Mhm.
That he had. And those boys were very young and he decided to give up custody. And so he wanted to still have a relationship with them, but it was a money factor. And he made that decision without me because I was like, I cannot make that decision. So he made that decision on his own. And I tried for years to keep in touch with his boys until we got a letter from an attorney that was like, if you keep on trying to get in touch, we're going to sue you. So I was like, okay. And I kept that letter. I called it the X-Files. And I kept all the things, the birthday cards that I sent. I was the one that tried to keep in touch because he just like disconnected. It was the weirdest thing ever. Well, this woman that he cheated with has two boys. And if you put my ex-husband side by side with the woman he cheated with, she looks more like his sister than his sisters look like his sister.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's very strange. And they're both December babies, and there was just something there. And so he took a hard left turn, and he fixated on her children. And I told him this. I said, Mark, you are fixating because of the loss of your boys, trying to fix a relationship that you need to go back to the start of your own children and fix it there.
Right.
And she knew this. Like, she was a manipulator, and she's like, oh, well, you didn't get a chance to raise your boys, and now you have mine. It was like, even though she was living with her boyfriend. And they had a dad who was right up the road, but he, unfortunately, he was not a good dad.
Oh, God.
Anyway, they were never a thing. They were never boyfriend, girlfriend. She was like his dirty little secret. She used him to springboard out of her boyfriend's house to move her shit and then into a new place and got another boyfriend. But she was a femme fatale. So what I have seen in the lifestyle that I think is really unhealthy, and I've seen a lot of, is female infiltrators. Like, like you guys are a couple and you want to play with a girl. And she's like, oh, hi, hey, guy. And like this.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that I do not dig. Like that kind of vibe. And when I was married,
I call them cock whores.
it's like the femme fatale. And damaged humans, damaged women. That's how they approach things. Because like they might not even want your man, but they want to see if they can like put a wedge.
Hey,
right.
They want what she has.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all it is.
But it can never
it's
be
weird.
because
Right.
what you guys have together is what you
we've built
and
this.
you bring to the table. And it's
That's
more
right.
than what you've built. It's
Yeah.
your soul connection,
Right.
right? That
Exactly.
soul connection cannot be duplicated by me because I'm not you.
I'm so heartbroken that Mark let that happen. That wedge.
We were even on Playboy TV.
Right.
We were on Playboy TV. We did a show called Adult Film School, and we were like episode 8, season 6, something like that. Anyway, we were at Hedonism because we had been there 5 times. Well, the girls and I were the 5th time, but that's another story. We were at Hedonism for our 4th time, and we get there. And have you been to Hedo?
No,
Okay.
Well,
not yet.
We've
Not
been
yet.
to. We've been to. What's the other one?
No, we haven't been to Hito.
No.
So
the
they
other
play
one.
porn all the time on the TV, like channels and channels of free porn. Well,
Mhm.
Playboy is on there, and our show, our commercial, our trailer was playing while we were at Hito. We didn't
Oh,
even
shit.
know it was going to be that because it took them a year before they actually cut it, and it
Yeah.
was like a show. It took forever.
Oh shit.
Yeah. We had actually applied through Cassidy because we saw that they were doing a casting call, the Playboy page was, and Mark and I were going to Hito on a different trip, the trip before.
Okay.
And I was like, we were up here in Denver having dinner. We were flying out the next day to Jamaica. I go, should we apply for this? And he's like, yeah, why not? And so I sent Playboy a bunch of pictures of us all dressed up for lifestyle events. And they got back to us. They were like, hey, can you do a show? And we were like, well, when did you want us to come out? And they're like, well, we want you to come out in December. In December, we had the Sweets Christmas party booked. We were supposed to go to Kevin Larson's White Gala for New Year's Eve. The girls had state cheer competition up here in Denver at the Coliseum. So we had 1 weekend left. And I said, I'm like, can you put us on like the next episode? Because I'm like, we have so much going on in December. And they were only going to pay us like $1,000 a piece. And I was like, and we had to pay taxes out of that.
Oh,
So,
stop.
yeah. So I was like, yeah, it's Playboy TV, but I'm like, do I really want to go? And so Mark and I were discussing it, and we're like, we'll get back to you. And I said to Mark, my exact words, if they offer us another $1,000 a piece, I say we do it. And so I shit you not. The guy calls us back, and he goes, look, will you guys do it if we offer you another $1,000 a piece? And I was like, fuck. Okay, well, we're going. So we make these plans, and then I get sick, and then Mark gets sick, and he's like getting better. He's not quite all there. And he'd gone to the doctor, to get Viagra because Playboy was like, you have to have Viagra. And Mark was like, Sherrie, we've been in the lifestyle all these years. I don't need fucking Viagra. It's with you. We've had sex in front of people. I said, Mark, do what they say. So he goes to one of our small town doctors in Pagosa, and he's like, hey, I'm going to be on Playboy TV with my wife. I'm not really having any erectile dysfunction, but can you give me a prescription because they say I have to have it for the show? And here you go. So because Mark got sick, he never actually tried the Viagra. So neither one of us had ever played with anything like that. We're just poor country bumpkins, you know what I'm saying? We were living in Denver. Anyway, so the day that he actually tries the Viagra is the day of the filming. Okay.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And when it starts hitting him, he gets every side effect. Like he's got the blue haze around his vision. He's sweating because he's still kind of sick. Like he's
Oh my God,
getting over
yeah.
it. Every
Yeah.
side effect just wallops him. And I'm in for my set, we did a country set because it was for couples and whatever their sex fantasy was. And so they set up a country
Country.
set for us. And I'm in Daisy Dukes and a snap down Western shirt. And Mark is in Wranglers and boots and chaps and a duster and a long sleeve shirt and a kerchief, and he's
Jesus
going through all this Viagra shit.
Christ.
And we're in
Oh,
Austin,
shit.
Texas, so it's fucking hot. Yeah, poor baby. We end up making it through the shoot, and it's funny because the people were so cool. They're like, look, if anything's not working in the moment, just let us know, and we'll all disperse. And I mean, there was a shit ton of people. We had booms coming over the top with sound guys, and people were taking still shots, and there's all these camera people. I mean, there's a shit ton of people on the set.
Right.
It's like
And
a shoot.
And it's quiet. So, right, I didn't realize that either. Sorry, the mic. I didn't realize that it would be so quiet on set. I'm thinking there's going to be music, country music or something. Oh, hell no. You could hear a mouse fart. And so all of that pressure and knowing that all these people were standing around, when Mark and I finally got to the part of undressing and playing, he couldn't get it up.
Oh.
And so I knew he was going in his head big time. And so I looked at everyone. I was like, can we have a minute? and everybody liked that. It was
Oh,
like,
That's perfect.
yes, they were so like they treated us really well. It was awesome. So I said, Mark, I said, we had this conversation of, it's you and I, and we've been in front of people before, and it's you and I love you, and we're on fucking Playboy TV. Like, this is gonna be fucking amazing. So we started playing, and he got out of his head, and then just everybody like
Yeah.
Quietly came
Like,
back
Ghosted
in.
filtered back
Yep,
in. They
yep.
filmed it, and then they were sneaky because they were like, okay, well, that was the other thing. Holly Randall is their lady that takes care of all, she's the hostess for the show.
Okay.
And I said to Holly, I was like, I'd really like to have my vibrator. And she's like, oh, yeah, that might be kind of weird. And I said, you know what? This is like sex, right? But like Playboy TV has its own standards. We've seen Playboy evolve, what
Yeah.
they used to be, what
Yeah.
they are now, everything in between.
Right.
And so I said, you know what? I said, I want to have a real orgasm for all the women that I see in porn faking it. And I think I can do it if I have my vibrator. And she was like, okay, take it. So I had a little
nice.
silver bullet, and I had it like tucked under. We had a calf skin on top of
Love it.
some straw bales. And they had like saddles, and they did it up really cool. So Mark's going down on me, and then he's giving me what we used to call the fingers because I love my G-spot rubbed. And I get out my vibrator. I have a real orgasm, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I had a real orgasm. And then he and I are having sex, and they were like, and they were so sneaky. They were like, hey, just so you know, we've got enough film, so, you guys can finish if you want. We're going to cut it. And so because he thought that the film had been cut,
He was
we
like,
kept, yeah,
uh-huh.
no pressure,
No.
nobody's watching, and he had the best orgasm, and they got it on camera.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was
Mhm.
like, you guys are sneaky bastards. So it was great. Like, we had
So
a
he
wonderful
messed up
time.
all that and cheated?
Mm-hmm.
God damn you, Mark.
I know. Right?
But at the end of the day, Mark and I know we've spent other lives together. I don't know what your beliefs are, but
Right.
I know it wasn't our first time connecting in another place and another time. And I will always love him. He's the father of my children, and my daughters and I are so tight, and we have been an inspiration to a lot of parents on our relationship. And I tell people, I'm like, you know what? The things that make our family real would probably scare you.
So post-Mark, then you decided
Post-Mark.
to stay in the lifestyle, obviously, because you're a
Yes.
unicorn.
I like to call myself the unwilling unicorn because it's not what I wanted. I wanted to be with him. I wanted us to be able to meet people and evolve so that we, like good people, so that we could have all those roasting hot sexual experiences. And I told
Right.
Mark, I said, like I had the fantasy for the longest time if we could have found a woman that we both could agree on. And I used to tell him, I'm like, any woman that I'm going to want to fuck, you're going to want to fuck.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, but can I be the radar?
Right.
Can I please be the radar? Anyway, I had fantasies of like him fucking another woman and me being underneath her and eating her pussy and then him pulling out and like me sucking his cock. I had all the dirty fantasies. I don't even
Right.
consider it dirty. I consider it amazing.
I think it is too.
Right? Yeah, all the hot stuff. But it's like it takes a lot of trust and communication, openness, and you have to find the right energetic circuit. Because if you don't and you pick the wrong ones, they can terminate your relationship. Things can go bad. So and even if it's not that bad, it's like I don't want to have any experiences that I need to heal from. You know what I mean?
Right.
I have enough to heal from, and I'm working on that healing all the time. So it's like if I'm going to encounter new sexual experiences, I want it to be the fantasy. And people, they have this misconception that if you talk about everything, that it takes the spice out of it. No,
Not at all.
not at all. Because
No.
then
It adds to it.
it adds to it because
Yes.
it helps you. It helps you to let down your inhibitions
Mhm.
because you've talked about what the expectations are, what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with. It's like,
Exactly.
and then like doors can open energetically and everyone can connect in a healthy way because it's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then you can let the fantasy roll and really have a good time with it and have it be what it's meant to be.
That's right.
And I always tell people, I'm like, if more people were conscious in the lifestyle, I would be a slut because I would be more open to experiencing things because I knew that everyone that I was with was going to hold space for one another. That if
Right.
I'm with you, you're going to hold space for me and I'm going to hold space for you. And if you're like, you know what, I don't like that or I want it different or I'm really not feeling it, I'm like, okay,
Right.
Or if you're like, this is really hot and I want you to do this, I'm like, okay. But it's all still okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay? Can I hear it? Okay.
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 Yeah, so that's what it comes down. No matter what I'm experiencing these days, for me, that's what it comes down to. Now, Mark like went backwards. He's like, I was really just kind of going along with it. I never really wanted to do anything. I'm like,
Stop it.
Well, you cheated, so you really did.
Go on.
Well,
Go on with your riffraff.
well,
That's
and
just-
then he said to me, he's like,
That's just non-ethical,
Yes.
non-monogamy.
And I know that looking back, I know that he wanted to have experiences, and I did too. But it's like, again, I didn't want to have an experience that I was going to have to heal from, or that was going to wreck my marriage.
Right.
So, and it was tough, like just trying to randomly go up and meet someone for a weekend in Denver, where it's like, if you're in Denver, then you do get a chance to go to events. Or like, hey, it was great meeting you at that last party.
Right.
But our experiences were very intermittent.
Mhm.
So, knowing that, if you had believed that for a second, if you took cheating out of it, would you get back in the lifestyle again, knowing that it could end your marriage?
I would, for the parties and the dress up and the play and the open sexuality, because
So you would do it all over again.
I would.
Good.
Because I'm still here.
Right.
And I think
Right.
he's, when he said, I don't ever want to do all that stuff again, I'm like, bullshit. Because then we'd start talking. I mean, we spent like 4 or 5 hours on the phone a couple of times over the last few years. We've been divorced for 4 years. And, we started talking about Hito. We started talking about all those
Mhm.
outfits and all
Right.
the dancing. But it wasn't about fucking other people. It was about all of the, like, good,
Intimacy.
clean, fun, and intimacy. And I mean, we would come up to Denver, we would nap, and we would have sex, and we would eat and indulge in all of the pleasures.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was so much of recharge physically, because we got rest, emotionally, because we had so many talks about the lifestyle and how we felt about different things, which is what blows my mind, that we ended up crashing and burning, honestly.
No shit.
I know.
Yeah.
It
No
surprises
shit.
me
That-
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
That's what-
really glad you shared it with us, though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our stories are sunshine and rainbows and, beautiful endings.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, and I'm not saying this isn't a beautiful ending by any means.
No,
'cause
it
you
was
seem
just a different
very,
transition.
Right.
yeah.
I'm very healthy now.
Yeah.
I
but
was very
can,
unhealthy for a long time after the divorce.
yeah,
it
I
was
can tell you
brutal.
really loved him.
I did really. I
And
still
so,
do. He's
yeah.
just different.
Yeah.
know.
So, we're used to those stories. The whole reason we started doing this is because I think that people that aren't in the lifestyle, when vanillas take a step back, they think, oh, you're doing it because you're missing something,
Right.
or you're doing it because you're not happy, but you don't want to let that person go. And
We're
that,
doing it because it's fucking fun.
right.
That's
And
right.
so
That
I'm
we just
glad
want-
that you guys explored that and did it. And it's weird to me, Mark. You might not think that you like it, Mark. Mark.
That's with a C, by the way.
You might not think that you like it, but you do, because you obviously did the same thing, just non-ethically.
It was self-expression. Like for he and I, getting a chance to just be like, yes, I'm going to wear that thong. And
Right.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that might be all I wear. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just being able to open up and just fully express yourself. And on different levels, because everyone has their own boundaries and comfort zones, everyone wants to experience that.
Right.
I want to go be the best me I can be and not feel like you're judging me, or
Right.
either that or I've moved past it and you may be judging me and I don't give a fuck. And that's kind of where I'm at now. Like I do my best to put out as much love and light into the world as I possibly can. Like I tell people, if you meet me in the Starbucks line or you meet me up in the club, I'm going to be the same person. Now, I
Right.
might be dressed a whole hell of a lot different.
Different.
Or you might have met me on the way to the club and I was grabbing a
Right.
coffee. You got to maybe see me in both.
Right.
But it's like my personality doesn't change. I know what I have to put on filters. There's certain situations we go into, and it's like, okay,
Right.
well, this is adulting, and we need to be this way in the moment. But who I am is very authentic. I feel like the man that I loved is either dead and gone, or locked away behind a lot of doors. That's
The
it.
walls.
Yes.
The walls.
And the most difficult part has been like, yes, now we're, ex-spouses, but that separation and segregation also filtered into my daughter's lives. And what I would like to say to Mark, if he ever listens to this, is He wants to live on a superficial level. He doesn't want, he thinks like, oh, we've had a period of 4 years, like everything should be okay now, right? We don't have to talk about what happened because it's been long enough. So he wants to live on a superficial level. I know that he loves his daughters, but his pride is getting in the way of him coming clean and basically begging for their forgiveness and saying, I love you and I'm sorry that I hurt you. And there's so much love waiting for him on the other side.
He's going to need to have those fucking ugly conversations with himself.
That's true. That's
and it
true.
sucks. You know what?
Yeah.
We were just listening to it earlier. Pride is devil.
Yeah.
You know, and it sucks. Like, he just needs to fucking let that down to go, hey, I'm sorry.
I miss you. I love
I'm
you.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what? For men to say I fucked up is like a really hard thing.
Not for every man.
She told me this.
Not for every
You know
man.
what? It started
And
like
anybody
this.
can change.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's never too late to apologize and to make right.
So after Mark, how have you progressed through this? Like she said, do you want a fourth marriage? Are you in like looking for relationships? Are you?
I definitely believe in relationships, but it's like you're in relationship with everyone.
Right.
All of us sitting here right now, we're in relationship. And I think relationship has become a very dirty, misconstrued word as to what that means. Kind of like the same way I feel about love. I can feel love for you. If you come to me and I lay hands on you and I'm massaging you, anybody, like I feel love for that person. And I tell people when I lay hands on someone, it's an act of love for me. And if I don't feel that way, if I no longer radiate that energy, then it's time for me to find a different career. So what my divorce taught me is that there's a lot of different ways to love people, and that it's not just reserved for husband and wife or mother and child or father and child or friends or whatever, that we all need to experience and receive and give forms of love just on the daily. Like, you know, like saying a kind word to someone, holding the door, like having radiating a loving energy for that person. Because with everything that's happened, there's so much dissonance and disconnection and suspicion of people and one another. And we used to be friends, but because you believe this or your political views are this or your science is this, like, you know, there's so much dissonance now. And people are very quick to like cut someone off and be like, yeah, you're in the dinghy and they took the machete and they're on the boat and you're gone. Yeah, they might even shoot a hole in your fucking raft.
Done.
Because that's just kind of how things are these days. So for me, there's a lot of things that I want to explore that if I had a partner, they would have to be cool with a whole lot of things, because they're like, I am evolving into the me that I was always meant to be. And I always have been, but I'm really evolving right now. And I build relationships with everyone that I get to know on any sort of level. Like when I see you, you'll feel heartfelt love for me, because it's like, that's who I am innately. But if a relationship comes to me and it's meant to be, like Mr. Right breaks into my house, then then that's great. But if I don't have another relationship for X amount of years, hopefully I form another one, you know, before the end of my lifetime, that is a monogamish relationship. I would definitely be open to that. But it's going to have to be somebody that can go and grow with me. You know, like they need to be at whatever level they're at, exploring their spirituality, open to all sorts of sexuality, because I am getting into the BDSM world very carefully, because, you know, they say 50 Shades of Grey. That's bullshit. It's like 50,000 shades of gray when you step over to the dark side. And I think it's kind of funny because the lifestyle people can be a little bit vanilla when it comes to kink. They're like, ooh, you like a guy's cock in a cage? I'm like, absolutely. Watching a man's hard cock swell inside of a cage and bulging out, begging to be touched by me, by my fingers, by my tongue, by a Wartenberg wheel. Fuck yeah, that's hotter than shit. Right?
See, it's weird because, you know, like lifestyle people and then kink people, it's like, wow.
There's a separation there, and then there's a gray area.
It is, you know,
there
and
is.
oh God, I'm right there with you with the kink shit. I don't know about the cock shit and the fucking, but you know, I'm right there. Hey,
I'm going to take it a step farther to freak you out even more. So like one of the things I've been super interested in and fascinated by is urethral sounding. You ever?
Oh
yeah.
My God.
But a whole set of rules, right, of like cleanliness, you know, it's an invasive form of play. And I'm not into like, you know, people will go, oh, fuck, what's that? They go on Pornhub and they're like, oh my God.
Right.
But It's like, okay, no, I'm not into that shit. Like I'm still a lover of the body and I'm a sensual person. So it's like I'm not looking to cause you a shitload of pain, but it's like, yes, I'm totally fascinated by penetrating men, whether I'm pegging them or putting my finger in their ass or sliding a steel rod gently down their cock. Like I am fascinated.
See, we know somebody who likes that, and it's
Yeah?
like,
Need to give them my number.
hey, it's so completely different than what I like.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, okay, that's different. That's
Well,
new.
And I have introduced several penis owners to urethral sounding, and it was something that's very new to me.
Penis owners.
Penis owners. Well, y'all asked me what my identity was when I came in, so I figured it might be appropriate to say penis owners. But it's fascinating to me, and for me, it's like a whole sensual lead up because you want a man's cock to be nice and hard if you're going to do that. I mean, you can do it if it's flaccid, but it's just not the same.
Right.
So I mean, obviously, when I know that I'm bringing someone pleasure, and I mean, yeah, they're like, whoa, because I mean, first time, it's like, holy shit. But if you explain the anatomy of it too, I've asked because I always ask, what does it feel like? And one man had said, he's like, it kind of feels like when you're coming. So like, there's a sensation,
Really? All
right?
the way down.
See?
I'm
Yeah?
like, I asked the guy that we know, and he's like, I don't know how to explain it to you.
Right. 'Cause
Only
how do you
because,
explain that?
yeah. And I'm like, it just makes me feel funny down there.
Right? But if you had a bunch of other experiences like kind of surrounding kink and you were exposed to it more, got to see it more, like the initial sound of it, yeah, it's terrifying.
Right.
Because those medical tools are used to remove strictures from the urethra. So say you fell out of a tree and banged your urethra, came down on a bike, and you damaged that tissue through there, they use those tools to go in and open those strictures what they're for. But also the anatomy of it is that the urethra in a man goes down and actually the prostate envelops the urethra. So if you can get down deep enough, you like ass play?
Oh yeah.
Giving ass play?
Not giving.
Not
Not yet.
giving.
Not giving.
Okay.
But definitely likes ass play.
So the prostate, it envelopes the urethra. So if the sound, if you're not experienced with it, they look terrifying. But there's lots of different types of sounds.
It goes all the way down.
Yes, and it has
into the fucking prostate.
Well, so yes, because the prostate envelops the urethra.
Yeah,
So you're actually stimulating the prostate from inside the body.
Oh my
wow.
God. Oh my God.
Right. But I mean, that's a really advanced play.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, so I've bought sets, Amazon and eBay, bought sets, and you can get nice stainless steel sets for really reasonable. And so I have rosebud sounds, and I love the steel, and like the cases are black, and you unzip them, and they're like blood red inside the velvet,
wow.
so like the visual of it all, and the
so
feeling of the steel, like
yes,
all of it.
Yeah, you're like, oh
And it's a
God.
very clean like I know a lot of people they don't go to the lengths, but if I play with someone that way, I will ask them to wash the area, and then I wash, and then they use Benadine, like the surgical scrub, to clean the area, and then I use surgical scrub on my hands, and then my tools, whatever sizes I think, I lay them out on a paper towel soaked with alcohol, and then when I pick them up, I clean them off as well. So I mean, if a germ got through,
God damn, right?
well, for men, it's different too. Like, so you obviously, because women can sound as well. And the theory behind that is you can touch the inside of the G spot through the urethra. But with women, obviously, our urethras are much shorter and go directly into the bladder.
Yes.
Where a man has a lot of stopping points before he gets there. And their urethra is really long. So they're typically not subject to UTIs as much as women are because the bacteria can get more quickly to our bladder kind of thing. For the women, you could touch the inside, and I have not done it to myself, I'll be honest, and I have not trusted anyone or had anyone offer to do it to me because especially with my anatomy being so much different, because a lot of times when I sound a man, I'm not getting all the way down to his prostate because I haven't played with those toys yet, but the rosebuds are how I like to start. So they look like a little steel pill on a long metal rod that has a steel handle at the end of it. And then you gauge the size of the urethra. So you don't want it to just be able to slip right down. You want not resistance, but a gentle flow. Like if I put it, don't freak out.
I
Like
know,
you're
I
hard.
know.
Imagine at
I
this
know.
moment you're hard and super
I
erect
know.
because I'm stroking your cock
You
and
know
I'm
what?
getting ready to
It's
drop
so,
this in.
It's so weird. It's the dissonance.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
You're
It's
disembodied.
because I'm
I
like,
see you shrinking.
I know it's weird. It's like
It's wild.
It's weird. It's like I'm going, oh, that's interesting.
Eh,
I might be turned on, but
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh God damn
well,
it!
and if,
Why?
but if you watch,
I know.
if you watch some porn where you found it, if you found it arousing, you might find it different. But you'd have to find the right stimulation.
Yes,
Yes.
I
Because
know.
some of the shit you would see on Pornhub, you'd be like, oh, fuck no. But then some of the other stuff, you're like, oh, wow. And I'm very sensual. It's like the whole process is like a slow dance flow. It's
Just
not
like,
like,
you used
you
to
know,
do.
hiya!
All right. Well, I can't thank you, Sherrie, enough for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I've had a blast.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Now, definitely, before we close up here, we want you to be able to shoot out your business because you, yes, we gave your official title of LMT. And for
Yes.
those who don't know what that means, go ahead.
I am a licensed massage therapist in the state of Colorado, and I have a business with my daughters. I am an Ashiatsu therapist, so I use aerial silk material and my feet to do massage, and my hands as well. I am also a Reiki energy worker. So if you would like tender, loving care, I am an energetic, nurturing mama, and I have a lot of passion. Don't be spitting now. I have
not,
a lot of
I'm not.
passion
I love it.
for what I do. So
So the name of
Namaste.
your business is Mantra Mindful Meditative Massage.
I know it's a mouthful.
It's a lot of M's.
Hot.
I
all
love
the
it.
M's. All the M's.
But it's so important because we all need to have a mantra. You know, what is it that we tell ourselves that we want to improve on or make our lives happier? And meditative, because the work that I do is it will transport you. So it's very meditative work. I'm very mindful in how I practice. And I'm a massage therapist.
Awesome.
What a
Well, I love
I
it.
love it
Thanks
too.
for coming on here and sharing your story, all the good parts and all the bad parts.
The good,
know.
the bad, and the
Thank you,
ugly.
Sherrie.
Yes,
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, Mama.
Cheers. All right, Ishes. You can find us already on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Radio Republic. Those three are starting to come up in the ranks, and so make sure you look for us on there and like and subscribe. And remember, we're going to be having 2 shows every week now, so make sure you get on there and support us. And really, we can't thank you enough, Sherrie. Again, thank you for
So much
coming.
fun.
my
Thank you.
dear.
I
Bye,
appreciate you.
Ishes.
Bye,
Bye.
Ishes.